On your marks, get set, go.
You choose the wrong enclosure, didn't you? It's not too late to switch.
This is the Prusa XL with the original Prusa enclosure. And this is the Prusa XL with the aftermarket Sumo enclosure. This was designed by Joseph Prusa and his team at Prusa Research. This was designed by the one-man team of Joseph Willis from 3D Sourcerer. The original enclosure retails for $650, with an additional $150 for shipping. The Sumo is $300 with free next-day shipping from Amazon. These clear doors allow you to see your ongoing print, while this system of collapsible bellows obscures it. So all of this begs the question, did Prusa get beat at their own game? That's what we're setting out to answer in this video. I'll be comparing these two enclosures on the basis of 5 criteria: ease of assembly, aesthetics, performance, value-added features, and overall value for money. With that said, let's get into it. Before we can get started with the assembly of the Sumo, there's a fair amount of printing we'll need to do. 9 full build plates, totaling 65 hours and approximately 3 kilograms of filament. With the printing done, assembly can commence. To make things interesting, I decided to put these two enclosures head to head to see which takes longer to assemble. What happened next surprised me. Let's roll the tape. On your marks, get set, go. I challenged 2 3D printing enthusiasts to a race to see who could assemble their enclosure quicker. Representing Team Sumo is Larry, a software engineer from Canada. And representing Team Prusa is Marco, a mechanical engineer from Germany. With only a single box for the Sumo, Larry got off to an early lead, but it wouldn't last long. Marco immediately began assembling the side acrylic panels. He made quick work of the plastic rivets, snapping them into place. Meanwhile, Larry familiarized himself with the instructions before completing the requisite disassembly steps. Marco's next move was to install magnetic bumpers for the lid before securing the side panels to the back sheet metal. It didn't take long for the trash talk to start.
You choose the wrong enclosure, didn't you? It's not too late to switch.
And it would only escalate from there. Larry then located the printed alignment guide that would be used to install the so-called shrapnel nuts into the aluminum extrusions. But it wouldn't be easy.
Very difficult to get it through the plastic and into the extrusion.
Tensions rose as the frustration of the shrapnel nuts tested Larry's resolve. Across the room, Marco was working on the assembly of the chamber fan and HEPA filter.
I don't know, it seems to me it's pretty quiet over there. That must be a much easier installation than mine.
So far, it's pretty straightforward.
With one section complete, Larry removed the alignment guide and verified the position of the nuts. Meanwhile, Marco was gathering momentum, installing the LED light bar and securing the cables in place. As they neared the 1 hour mark, Larry repositioned the alignment guide and continued his quest to position the nuts with the utmost precision. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for Team Prusa either.
I scratched them while I was assembling the middle. Now I have it.
I don't think this is a fair test because you got a software engineer against a mechanical engineer. So I'm having a few challenges here.
Marco was feeling confident enough with his lead that he decided to take a snack break while he gathered intel on the competition.
10, 11, 12, okay. In 1 hour, I've managed to put 12 T-nuts in. But they're exactly, precisely to the millimeter positioned.
That spreads a lot of joy in me.
In spite of the trash talk, both competitors were able to temporarily put their differences aside to share in the ceremonial consumption of Haribos. There must have been something special in that bag of gummy bears, because Marco suddenly felt inclined to help Larry conquer the dreaded shrapnel nuts. And help he did.
What I'm going to do before that is I'm going to pre-bend them a little bit. Here you go. There it is.
So that is maybe the trick.
Returning to his work, Marco resumed the assembly of the top lid, a task that rounded out the second hour of competition.
Okay.
However, Marco's good fortune wouldn't last long, as he too faced the infamous shrapnel nuts.
There they are.
But then, a startling discovery, one that would change the trajectory of the competition.
They have that pre-bend here.
Oh.
I already put the first in while we were talking. Just with my fingers. Second one.
How about I come over and start working on that one?
Not gonna happen.
Marco's next move was to add the fixtures for the collapsible bellows. A quick test fit and everything was looking good. Thinking his misfortunes were behind him, Larry ventured onward, assembling the printed plastic parts that comprised the front face of the Sumo enclosure.
I need some lubricant.
Seemingly inspired by the success of their earlier collaboration, Marco once again offered his assistance.
I was going to compliment you on your strength, but I'm pretty sure it was the grease.
Yeah.
Team Prusa then turned their attention to electronics, adding an expansion board before connecting the wires for the fan and light. The tolerance issues that plagued Team Sumo would carry forth into the next step. The installation of hex nuts into the plastic parts proved to be equally difficult. As they neared the 4-hour mark, Marco began replacing the PTG parts on the tool carrier and tool heads with replacements printed in a more temperature-resistant filament, PCCF. This tedious task made Marco grateful his XL only has 2 tool heads.
I'm actually glad that I don't have a 5-head.
Meanwhile, Larry was finally ready to install the front face of the Sumo enclosure. But his chances of a comeback weren't looking good. Marco was putting the finishing touches on the original Prusa enclosure.
Fits quite well.
With the seal of authenticity applied, the competition was over. Clocking in at 4 hours and 21 minutes, Team Prusa won by a landslide. Team Sumo still had a long way to go. The tight tolerances of the front faceplate were contrasted by loose tolerances on the front bezel, causing the magnets for the doors to fall out. This required that they whip up some plugs to keep them in place. After fighting tolerance issues all day, Larry was relieved when they fit just right.
Perfect. Man, right?
Next were the front doors. The hinges were assembled and installed, along with some handles, before securing the doors to the printer. More printed frame pieces were then added to which the acrylic panels could be attached. Then it was time to reinstall the spool holders, adding a spacer so the panels don't get scratched. A few more printed pieces to round out the back frame of the enclosure, and the finish line was getting close. The lid was last. A few printed brackets combined with a couple of acrylic panels. Then it was time to put it on top of the printer. Corner covers for aesthetic purposes, and phew, finally done.
It's way more attractive.
In total, the Sumo took 10 hours to assemble, while the original enclosure only took 4.5. And that's not including the time to upgrade the PTG parts to PCCF, which Larry didn't do. The installation of the shrapnel nuts on the Sumo ate up a lot of time. The ones that were included with the Prusa enclosure were pre-bent, making installation much easier. The tight fit of the printed parts was also a major slowdown. The designer of the Sumo printed his enclosure in PLA, while I printed the parts for this one in PTG. The shrinkage of the material obviously wasn't accounted for, making assembly very difficult. If I were to build this again, I'd make sure to apply a scaling factor in the slicer before printing in order to make the fit a bit looser. Correcting for those factors, an assembly time closer to 6 hours seems reasonable. But even then, the original enclosure is still considerably quicker and easier to build. I do have to give credit, however, to Team Sumo for their interactive assembly instructions. Prusa's instructions are great, but the 3D CAD view is a nice touch. Needless to say, Team Prusa gets the points in this round. Aesthetics are of course a matter of personal preference. I personally prefer the look of the Sumo, but with all of the printed pieces, it definitely gives off more of a DIY vibe. The benefit, of course, is that you can choose to print these in whatever color you like, customizing the enclosure to suit your preference. You also have the option of customizing the text on the faceplate. On the other hand, the original Prusa enclosure is all black. Made of mostly sheet metal, it looks like it would fit right in on a factory floor. Although, in my opinion, the collapsible bellows look a bit strange. Functionally, they're useful, in the sense that you can move them completely out of the way to access the printer from all sides. But I much prefer being able to watch my print while it's progressing, which the clear acrylic doors on the Sumo allow you to do. Points for this round go to Team Sumo. Now let's talk about what is arguably the most important aspect of all, performance. An enclosure serves 3 primary functions: draft control, heat retention, and fume mitigation. The performance in these categories ultimately boils down to one attribute: air tightness. In other words, how well is it sealed? Let me tell you, there's a stark difference between the air tightness of the Sumo and the original Prusa Enclosure. And this wasn't something I was expecting. The Prusa Enclosure has numerous large gaps that can let drafts in and heat and fumes out. The most notable is the back honeycomb panel, which is completely open to the environment. I'm not sure why they wouldn't have just extended the sheet metal from the lid to cover this. On the other hand, the Sumo, in its default configuration, has the hex panel partially obscured. It can be sealed off completely by printing and installing these optional plugs. There are some small gaps around the doors, but overall it seems considerably more airtight. In spite of these findings, I found the heating performance of the original enclosure to be superior to the Sumo. The chamber heated quicker and reached a higher temperature after 30 minutes. I can only assume this is because the Sumo has a larger interior volume, meaning more air to heat. In terms of fumes, the original enclosure with its integrated fan and HEPA filter has the obvious advantage. With neither enclosure being completely airtight, you'll still smell the fumes when printing with stinky materials like ABS, but they're far less severe than printing with an open frame XL. The Sumo doesn't come stock with a chamber fan or filter, but the design is equipped to accept them. There are a variety of alternative parts that you can print for this purpose, including a duct mount to vent fumes out a window. The interesting thing about the original enclosure is that despite being equipped with a firmware-controlled exhaust fan, it doesn't have a dedicated thermistor to monitor the chamber temperature. There's a hygrometer that displays the temperature, but it's not firmware connected. Instead, the firmware measures the internal temperature using the heatsink thermistor of an inactive tool. This gives an approximate reading, but it doesn't seem like it would be very representative of the actual air temperature. Given that part of the installation process was retrofitting new electronics, I'm not sure why they didn't just add a dedicated thermistor, positioned in a more representative location. The Sumo doesn't have a dedicated thermistor either, but for an extra $60, you can buy a fan with thermostat control. The parts are already designed to make it a drop-in upgrade. Accounting for all of these factors, in this round, I have to give the edge once again to Team Sumo. Now let's talk about value-added features. The big advantage of the original enclosure is that it's connected electrically to the printer, giving the firmware access to control it. You can change parameters related to the exhaust fan, monitor the life of the HEPA filter, and toggle on and off the LED light bar. Sumo has no firmware connectivity because there's no electronics. It would, however, be possible to retrofit the Sumo with the same fan and filter as on the original enclosure, at which point the firmware could talk to it. This has been demonstrated by the designers of the Enclosure, another even more cost-effective enclosure for the Prusa XL. This should also allow you to use Prusa's approach of measuring the chamber temperature using the thermistor on an inactive tool. At that point, you'd have all of the same functionality as the original enclosure, with the exception of the LED light bar. I've already touched on some of the ecosystem upgrades that are available for the Sumo, but there's many more. There's a variety of camera mounts, different designs for the handles and corner covers, and even a fire alarm bracket. Not to mention the upgrades already designed by the community. But honestly, and this might sound silly, the biggest thing that drew me to this enclosure is the flat surface on top. This can be used for filament storage or to place another smaller printer. If you need to get access to the inside, you can lift the lid off and remove it completely. In contrast, the original Prusa enclosure doesn't have a flat top, and the lid is screwed down so it can't be easily removed. The overall height of the Sumo is a little more than that of the Prusa enclosure, but with the lid open, the original enclosure requires more vertical clearance. Speaking of opening the lid, there's an unsettling phenomenon that occurs when you do. The gantry can very easily be torqued if you're not careful. For this reason, it's probably best not to open the lid when the printer is operating, to avoid causing a shift in your print. On the other hand, the Sumo lid can be removed mid-print without concern. I'm going to call this round a tie, since both enclosures have their fair share of value-added features. So by now, it should be pretty clear that each of these enclosures has their own strengths and weaknesses. But which is the better value? The landed cost for the original enclosure is $882 US. The cost for the Sumo hardware kit is $300, but you'll also need to budget another $60 or so for the 3 kilograms of filament required to print the parts, totaling $360. For another $60, you could add a temperature-controlled fan, and it would still cost less than half that of the original enclosure. So it should go without saying that there's a clear winner in this category. Weighing out cost, performance, and features, Sumo is clearly the better value. So let's tally the final score. Prusa gets points for ease of assembly and value-added features. Sumo gets points for aesthetics, performance, features, and value. So the win goes to Joseph with a PH. An impressive feat for a solo designer taking on a well-established company. I must say that the original Enclosure feels very much like an afterthought, rather than a carefully planned out upgrade. I make this argument with two primary pieces of evidence: the bolt-on electronics expansion board and the fact that the dual head parts weren't printed in PCCF to begin with. If the Enclosure was in the pipeline all along, why not just include a few extra ports on the main board, and spare us the agony of replacing all of the PTG parts by shipping the printer from factory with temperature-resistant components? And then there's the fact that this expensive upgrade doesn't even include a dedicated thermistor. Not to mention that you can't see your print through the bellows, and that the gantry gets skewed when you open the lid. The Sumo isn't perfect either, of course. The biggest drawback being the dependence on 3D printed parts, the tolerances for which can vary widely. It's a fun project, but many people will prefer just to buy a turnkey product that doesn't require 65 hours of printing and won't incur the same frustrations for assembly, even if it costs more. But I'd love to know what you think. Is there anything about this analysis you see differently? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my future videos. My name's Taylor, this is YHK3D, and until next time, happy 3D printing.